Hey everybody, welcome back to Force Chatter. We are here to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. The show we thought was titled Kenobi, but apparently it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, I'm Eric and I'm joined tonight by Lou, Tom, and Tim. Lou, how you doing tonight? Yeah?
I'm doing great.
Getting ready for celebration?
Yeah. Had the trailer. Yeah, I just ponied up for my flight.
Oh. Well,
so yeah, I'm good to go now.
You won't be able to afford to eat while you're there, probably, but yeah,
probably not.
I mean, the tickets didn't look.
I'm bringing the Mud Trooper gear. I'm going to put a sign out saying, Min Bin veteran.
We'll podcast for food.
I'll just sit on the sidewalk. Yeah.
You know, the prices weren't great before this whole Ukraine thing happened. I saw the ticket prices and then the hotels, and I'm like, oh, they had to put it on a holiday weekend. But then I got my vacation taken away from me at work because we have a major system upgrade on Memorial Day itself. And it's going to be 2 weeks of hell leading into it. And I am now one of 2 system experts for that system. I am not allowed to leave. I'm not sure I'm allowed to go home every day. Literally, like last time that we did this, people camped out overnight. So we're going to see. But
it's like waiting in line for a Star Wars movie.
Kind of.
And
we know how much you'll have kind of a line. Tim, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
Yeah,
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. I also booked my tickets for my flights for celebration.
Good.
Much less painful. I had airline miles. Thank you, Delta.
That helps.
So I paid like less than $200.
Sure.
I'm not going to get to
and that
witness
was for
you
like
standing in. Okay, so Lou, I have a request, and Tom, if you end up going, for you as well.
Yes.
Anytime Tim has to stand in line for something, pull out your phone, get on FaceTime with me. Just so I can watch him suffer. For those who don't know, Tim does not like waiting in line. Like if there's a person in front of him at the ATM, one person, nope, I'll come back later.
I am not that bad.
He's not that bad. But
yeah, don't stick me in a line for like 3 hours. I get really pissy.
No, what I did last time I went to a Star Wars convention with waiting in lines for all those stupid pins, which I'll never do again. Tim would not have been caught dead doing that.
So actually, my first podcasting ever? It might have been. Was actually in line with you to get into Celebration Orlando.
Yeah. And
you brought your portable rig and a couple of mics and handed me a mic and said, "Here, we're going to go talk to people."
Yeah.
And so that's actually how it started.
That's true.
So you're responsible for me, Eric.
Yeah, you're my fault.
You're welcome, everybody.
I think that was the day you guys were
He's
waiting
the guy to
in line
blame.
into the main thing, and I found some way like across some sky bridge.
Oh yeah. Lou just walked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are you guys?
I tell you what,
Security is.
It can't be easy running a convention, so I have to give Reed Pop some credit for that. But I have a lot of questions. Every time I go, I have different questions, but that's okay. Tom, how are you doing tonight? Yeah,
I'm good. Speaking of Putin, that whole situation has increased my busyness at work.
Imagine.
But
yeah, I bet.
We get. So I was literally in a work meeting about Ukraine when Kenobi dropped, and every fiber of my being wanted to wish the war away.
You're like, excuse me, General.
Instantly.
Just give me a minute. This priorities.
I've got a dental appointment.
Yeah,
it's an emergency. Something. Insert excuse here. I've got to go.
Yeah. Well, now, are you going to be making it to Celebration?
Yes. The question is right now whether I'll be a part of Celebration. I've done a couple panels in the past and submitted some stuff, but they're dragging their feet making decisions.
They have not, and we're going to talk Celebration a little bit at the beginning of the episode here. Not too much because we know not everybody's going, but yeah, they haven't announced panels yet. They haven't announced. Have they even solicited for media passes yet?
No, not
Normally
that
would have been December based on previous years. They have not announced the tables yet, I don't think.
Applications are closed for those, but they haven't announced them yet.
I mean, it's mid-March. You've got mid-April, mid-May, and then like another week. You've got about 2 months. Getting kind of close to the wire there. And they haven't even taken applications for media passes.
Yeah, it's tough, I think, for people who would be trying to make those plans.
Right.
Like if they're contingent on, well, hey, I'll go if I get a media pass. Okay, so if they do happen to get a media pass, then they have to like get a room. Really? Sorry, I don't think you can touch a room around
at
there
that
right
time.
now.
Yeah.
And I hate that they're doing it on a holiday. I mean, Memorial Day weekend, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Memorial Day, Labor Day. Those 4 holidays, you don't want to schedule big events around because any travel arrangements are going to be expensive and any lodging is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first time in my memory that they've ever done one. I've gone since 2010, and they've been at sort of like peak vacation times more often than not, but never on a holiday weekend like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's tough because it's been postponed twice and then pulled back.
It's supposed to be August of this year
to an earlier time. Right. And so I don't think anybody was really sure this was going to happen for this time frame until a couple weeks ago because you go back 3 or 4 weeks ago and it was full on COVID again.
Yeah. So speaking of COVID, though, probably the biggest thing that's I'll say a little controversial, I guess, particularly in the cosplay community for Celebration is that so with COVID, they're requiring proof of vaccination. They are also requiring everyone to wear a mask, a breathing mask for COVID, discerning between that kind of mask and a costume mask. But speaking of costume mask, they are not allowing people to wear costume masks. I'm assuming because they want to make sure that they can see that people are wearing a mask for COVID protection. So that's kind of a big thing in cosplay, considering that a lot of them have full masks or full helmets.
Some of them fully capable of a rebreathing unit.
Well, if they were real, yes.
I mean, you can hook up like a BiPAP sort of a. We use them at work.
Oh, sure.
It would be expensive, but I mean, you could do it if you wanted.
So, I mean, that really does take a lot of people, kind of, I wouldn't say out of cosplay, but, you're going to have 1,500 stormtroopers walking around with no helmets.
I mean, you can go.
Which I understand, and I'm not going to argue with the COVID protocol situation. But we are also seeing a lot of things ease up, and this is a full 2 months away yet, and things may change. Yeah. So for the folks who are kind of, who have their arms up about this, I think that things may very well change because I think they're falling in line with LA County's current requirements still, right? Or is this totally?
No, LA County is looser than what they have.
Oh, okay.
I think this is more restrictive.
Which means it could end up loosening it up even more. Like you said, Tom, you were going to say?
Yeah,
sure. They have room then.
It's always easier to loosen up stuff. I mean, I just put on an event, like the first event that my work has put on in person that is larger than a small meeting in 3 years or a little over 2 years. And our mantra the whole time was you can always relax rules. People will be fine. But if you try to ramp up rules to more stringent, it's tougher on people. So, and that's exactly what we did in a couple instances, and people were fine with it. The other piece is with the 501st, for those that have trooped since the pandemic hit, the 501st has, since in-person trooping came back, required regular masks underneath your helmet. So they've balanced that. I think where Celebration is probably coming from is it's difficult. It'd slow things down to just verify that. Right. And, you've got a few bad apples. I think they're going to ease up on some stuff as we get closer.
Anaheim is nice because right outside the convention center, you've got this large area in between, the Hilton and then another hotel. And it's, the Marriott. It's not quite like a courtyard because there's kind of a driveway area, but it's like a big courtyard. I mean, when DJ Elliott was doing the Big Bash there in 2015, it was in the big grassy area between the two driveways, between the two hotels. Right. So there's ample space outdoors to host and organize different cosplay events. Whether people will want to do it that way, I don't know. And the other thing too is it's not just the people with helmets. If you're dressing up as a Twi'lek, and you're putting on like green face paint or blue face paint or something like that, you're not going to want to put a mask on top of that. It's going to be, not only is it going to be kind of gross, but it's also not going to work well.
Yeah. And I mean, it can, it actually depends on the kind of paint that the face paint that you wear, though a lot of people don't wear like really good, long lasting face paint. I mean, a few weekends ago, Lou and I did a 501st event in Connecticut. And actually there was someone there who was a Trilec. And, you know, she wore a mask the whole time. We all did. And, you know, there were no discernible issues with her face paint, like from the mask shifting and moving up and down or anything like that.
But it does depend on what quality of face paint you're using too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It definitely does. So, you know, we'll see what happens. I agree completely with what Tom said, that it's easier to have the tighter restrictions and loosen them up later, especially if the numbers stay down. If numbers do start to go up, then the celebration folks don't have to change anything, basically, assuming we're not talking a drastic change. But, you know, a moderate change, they can basically stick with the same protocol and be good with it. If things do stay down, confidently enough, they will probably, you know, ease that up and, you know, make masks optional. And you know, I will be wearing a mask, you know, the whole time that I am there amongst a gazillion people.
Here's the thing.
Right.
If COVID weren't happening, you're at a convention. Like going forward in the future, I think when I'm out on the convention hall, I may wear a mask anyway. How many times do people come home from conventions? I mean, it's called convention crud for a reason. There's a meme-like name for it because
everyone comes home with it.
Yeah, it's not just these kind of conventions. It's work conventions. Yeah. It's everything. You get together with a bunch of people and you start shaking hands, and you're probably going to catch something.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I like wearing a mask every day at work, but you know what? I really haven't gotten a cold in 2 years.
I just got my first stomach flu this week, which
pretty happy with that.
Knocked me on my butt. But it was also the first time I've been around people where I did not have a mask on for a little bit. One time, and I'm sure that's how I got it. But yeah, other than that, you know, a lot of people have said that, Lou, that 2 years now haven't been sick. In a lot of Asian countries, when they go out in densely populated areas, people have been wearing masks for decades. It's just a normal thing. Like people don't even balk at it. It's just like, yeah, that's just what we do. So, I don't know. If you're going to the convention, even if you're fully vaccinated, you know, you don't want to come home with a cold or a stomach flu or some other non-COVID thing either. Put the mask on, you know. I might just start doing that from now on. I'll also say that I've been talking to a few more people who wanted to go or were going to go and canceled their plans and stuff like that. There are a lot of us who are kind of suffering from the almost got to go syndrome. And it's going to suck. This is going to be the second one in a row that I've missed. But we are going to try to do some sort of coverage here. I'm going to try to get you guys on a couple of live calls if we can over Saturday and Sunday.
And
I'm going to bring my recording rig and we can hopefully do some stuff on the floor.
And we'll do some some.
I'll bring Eric's recording rig because I still have it. So
that's what it's there for. I mean, I have two. I figured I might as well leave one with somebody else. So I mean, you guys can do local recordings there, and then you know, we can do Skype calls and stream it here on YouTube as well remotely, so we can get some live stuff in. And we'll do some like quick little Q&As about what you guys have seen. And so we'll have some little miniature segments on YouTube throughout the weekend, hopefully. So, but we should get talking about Kenobi here. So we were going to talk about it this weekend anyway. And then because Star Wars heard that we were going to talk about it, Lucasfilm said, oh shoot, we got to get that trailer out, guys. Force Chatter is about to talk about the Kenobi thing. So thank you.
See, over on Guardians, I claim the same thing because I know that Kevin Feige has been a longtime listener of Guardians of the MCU. So there's things that like we talk about, we mention on the show, then like inevitably a couple weeks later, boom, Marvel announces it. It's amazing.
It's
amazing.
It's a loyal
condolences on William Hurt, an MCU cast member. He was
Ross.
in Kiss of the Spider-Woman, which is that she was
not
in the
an MCU
Avengers,
movie.
West Coast Avengers, I think, Spider-Woman.
This actually was unrelated to the MCU. Yeah.
But Spider-Woman.
Anyway.
No, just anyway. So the Kenobi trailer.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So Kenobi, you guys have all watched I guess it's kind of a teaser trailer. It's not really a full trailer.
Yeah.
It's
a teaser.
Once or twice.
It's a teaser. Yep.
Initial thoughts?
Maybe.
Tom, you haven't been on in a few weeks. What are your initial thoughts on this? Does this get you hyped for the show? Does it meet the expectations you already had? Where are you sitting emotionally after watching this teaser?
I'm sitting, if we're going to put it on a numerical scale, I'm sitting at a 5,000 on a 1 to 10 scale.
Nice.
It's just good to see Ewan McGregor back in the role. I mean, that's the anchor point, right? There are little nitpicky things here or there that I'm sure we'll talk about. Nitpicky to me. But I couldn't be happier. I was really excited. We'll get into specifics, I suppose, but I joked that I was on a work call. As soon as that work call dumped off, my productivity for the rest of the day was just in the tank. As I was just watching this on repeat. I
believe that. All right, Tim, what about you? Initial thoughts?
It made me really excited for the show. The imagery, the background music that they use, that kind of stuff. It was both nostalgic as well as you're like leaning forward, like, oh, what are they going to do with this character?
Right. Like,
I want to see, what they're going to do and how they're going to handle it and where they're going to go and who's involved and all this stuff. And so I'm pretty psyched about it. It's been one of those things, I've been looking forward to the show, but with nothing tangible out there, my excitement has just kind of, been a flat line. Not a bad flat line, but not like a really high up, hyped up flat line. It's just kind of been somewhere in the middle. Like, okay, this is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't know anything. And I really, aside from a few pictures that have gone out, I haven't seen anything. And this made me excited.
Good.
For it.
You mentioned the music. John Williams is back for at least part of this. He's composing some of the main themes for the series, which was evident in this teaser. So, Lou, what did you think?
Yeah.
I think I'm right in line with Tim there. I've been looking forward to this. I didn't want to know anything about it. Part of me in the background is going, this makes no sense because he's supposed to be laying low and watching over Luke and, spending, 20 years on Tatooine doing nothing. So I'm like, how active can he be if he's not trying to be on the radar of anybody? But it's great to see, Ewan back in the role. And I know you don't like desert planets, Eric, but it's nice to see the old familiar stomping grounds. And I'm excited about the new stuff we're going to see. I mean, the Inquisitor and so forth. I mean, it looks
to
awesome.
That point, I'm excited about the teaser because it confirmed a lot of the leaks that have been coming out, which does indicate that, as you just said, it doesn't all happen on Tatooine. So I am fully on board.
And Eric is all about the leaks. Lou and I generally stay away from them. Yeah, Tom, what's your position on that?
Yeah, I'm with you too. I'm fine to consume all the TV spots and trailers, but
I'm the resident plumber dealing with the leaks.
I even stopped watching TV spots as I get closer to the release. I'm like, okay, I'm stopping from watching TV spots now because they start giving away more and more. I mean, I remember going to see what did we see in Milford there when you were living up here?
It was either episode 7 or 8.
It must have been 7, yeah. And I went in with no spoilers, and Eric went in with like the entire notes written down on a piece of paper.
He's like, exaggerating. I didn't literally write anything down,
but little bit.
I did actually know the entire movie. It was one of those situations where I thought, okay, I know this much, and then what else are we going to see? Well, no. I knew exactly
There's got to be something
start to finish, and there was no surprises. That was the worst spoiler experience, and I don't go hard like that anymore. But and so we're not going to be doing really spoilers in this episode. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what we saw in the trailer. We did see the Inquisitors, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Inquisitors, and then near the end, we will deliberate amongst ourselves as to how much I can say about what just the general zoomed out concept of the show is, which I consider to be non-spoilerish, but we are going to be very sensitive to people's sensitivities. Very eloquent way of putting that. And we'll give some warning before we do that. Okay, so don't worry about spoilers other than hopefully you've seen the teaser by now, because we are going to be talking about the stuff we saw in the teaser.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're spoiling.
Okay, I have actually, we're not going to play it here and go shot by shot, but I do have a copy of it here on the monitor. And we do see some establishing scenes of, well, sand. Obi-Wan walking around somewhere on Tatooine. We assume it's
You get an Eopie.
Mos Eisley on an Eopie.
Yes. Yeah, we do see an Eopie.
Yeah.
Harkening back to the episode
Big fan of
1
Eopies.
Fart jokes.
Let's hope there's no
Really
fart
hope
jokes in this
not.
one. Yeah, I don't need to see
my
any
gosh.
flatulence.
That was not Star Wars for me. We get a voiceover from Kenobi talking about, how, hey, the war's over, we lost. Kind of echoey a little bit. And we see him looking in on the Lars homestead with the little macro binoculars, little miniature version of it.
See, and that's what I think the whole show should be about. It's just him watching, creepy old guy watching.
And then he gets arrested at the end. And then, yeah. So, I mean, that would be a very short show because, there's not much to do on Tatooine, which is why so much of it doesn't happen on Tatooine, which is awesome.
Well, occasionally he would
uh,
have to yell at, Tusken Raiders or whoever to get off their lawn.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
It'd be him sweeping his porch and
And
going
so-
back outside, drinking some blue milk because that's the only liquid they have on Tatooine, and going back outside and sweeping again because the sand would have blown back on the porch.
The sand keeps coming
Lots
back.
of
Even the
lots of
Lucasfilm
sand, yeah.
logo
And it gets
dissolves
everywhere.
into sand. Did you notice that?
Into sand.
really
I
cool.
did that.
Just
yeah,
to
that was
taunt
awesome.
me.
And yet
That
when
was
happens,
Thanos,
though,
actually. That was
the
Thanos that
music
did that.
was just like, okay, we're
Yeah,
back.
the music was
I love
good.
It,
Yeah.
So right after that, we get a shot of a spaceship that
Well, you forgot little
I
Luke.
really didn't.
That gave me
Okay.
chills. The zoom in on Luke pretending he was flying something or other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the homestead there. Absolute
Just like dear old
chills.
dad. Dear
Pod
old
racer
dad.
wannabe.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this ship, we see a top-down view of it. It looks a little bit like Vader's castle on Mustafar. It's got the two little pointy spires on the top, and
And the smallest engines they've ever put on a ship ever.
pretty much.
Like, what in the world is up with those
Yeah.
little engines?
It's very
I mean,
reminiscent.
it's actually-
cutbacks.
it's a cool looking ship, but they needed to make the whole back end of that thing,
Not everything needs to be an N1 starfighter.
some big
or
engines on the
Y-wing.
back of them.
It is. It's very reminiscent of Krennic's shuttle. If you kind of stretched out the cockpit, the main body, and then shrunk the wings way down, it's got that look to it. And that's for those that don't know, that structure, that planet. That's the Inquisitorius headquarters on Nur. And if you've played Jedi Fallen Order, that planet and that location plays a big role toward the end of the game.
I actually
there.
have not finished that game. I need to go back and do that. That was a really good game. So
Yeah.
that is on, I believe it's
Tom,
on.
your explanation, Tom's explanation of the ship, though, it looks like a B-wing if you just redrew it
if you can look
different.
nothing like a B-wing.
No, like his shuttle. If you just stretched out the main
I
body
can see
and
that.
replaced
Made
the
it look
wings.
completely different. It looks exactly like it.
Look,
Thanks,
imagine this and then do it totally different. And then
Imagine
it
it's the
is what I say
Scooby-Doo
it is.
mystery van, but
Oh, good Lord.
yeah. So Nur is a moon in the Mustafar system, I believe. Mostly water, and as you said, Tom, that this is the headquarters. We actually see a shot in like a meeting room. A little bit after that, we see a character. We'll come back to that. That's a little later in the teaser. We see a shot that appears to be on Tatooine of someone who I believe is the Grand Inquisitor. So the subtitles of the official version from StarWars.com identifies the voiceover speaker as the Grand Inquisitor. So that's official. He is seen talking to someone looks like maybe in a restaurant or something on Tatooine, and it almost looks like maybe an Imperial officer uniform. And then in the back on the left, we see another Inquisitor who I believe is and I'm not great with all of the Inquisitors and stuff, but is it the fifth brother?
So the initial shot, let's see here. The fifth brother is in
So I'm
the
looking
trailer.
at 45 seconds
but-
into it.
I think it's the same guy.
Yeah, that's
I think
that's
it's
the
same
third.
guy.
So there's the third sister who is new to the
Right.
show, who
And
can
she's going to be like
she's
the
kind of
primary
blurry in the
antagonist,
background.
I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't have any backstory on her. And for those that are unfamiliar with the Grand Inquisitor, highly encourage you to go watch Star Wars Rebels. He's a key figure right out of the gate
And
in
they
that
were
show.
so the Inquisitors, the Emperor used them to hunt down rogue Jedi, and apparently they were created as part of West End Games. I didn't realize that, but like way back in the day.
They pull really
that far,
heavily from all those source books.
which is good. There was a lot of good stuff in those source books.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Of note here, I wanted to ask you guys this question. So he obviously these characters that are pulled from animation are going to look different, but we've seen his species is a Pauan, which we saw in Obi-Wan actually interacts with him in Revenge of the
from
Sith.
Utapau, right?
And yep. And in the show, Jason Isaacs of Harry Potter and Patriot fame voices him very famously. So he's been recast, and he doesn't quite look like your normal.
No,
He does
Pauan.
not look the part, no. And that's probably been the biggest negative that I've seen milling about this teaser,
Right.
is that they like completely missed the mark on this look, which is so odd considering that in episode 3 we saw them live action. So
Right.
it's
This
not
isn't like
even
the
like
Cad
an
Bane
animation to
thing.
live action issue. Exactly. We had it live action. We're getting it live action again. It should look substantially the same. So
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah.
I agree with that. Now, listen, it doesn't break anything for me. I'm still going to like the show. But it does seem like a weird decision to make him look human and not, what was it? Not Utapowian, but
Pauan.
Pauan.
Just Pauan.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would seem to make more sense.
Has anyone read anything else on this aside from basically that observation?
As far as regarding that decision? No.
Yeah. Is there anything milling
Certainly
about
nothing
out there
official.
now?
No. You know what I hope? It's not going to happen because we're so close in, but if folks remember when the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer first dropped and Sonic looked ridiculous and
horrible.
people, fans were like, hey, what the heck? Sega
Yeah.
went back and delayed the whole thing to redo Sonic, and it turned into a big hit. I don't want a delay for this show, but, if they were to be able to clean him up. But I'm sort of with you, Eric. It doesn't break anything. It's just
I
an
think if he were
annoyance.
the main character or even the main antagonist, I think maybe it might make more of a difference. But I think this is going to be one of those situations. This isn't a spoiler. This is just my speculation. We know that the, what'd you say? Was it the third sister is her title? She's going to be the main Inquisitor who is tasked with performing the antagonistic actions in this series. Keep everything as vague as I can. So it's one of those things where I think the Grand Inquisitor and Darth Vader and the Emperor and blah, 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 like all of the puppet masters, those are going to be more behind the scenes, and we're going to see them there to establish the plot for the antagonist, but she is going to be the one we're going to be following. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of the Grand Inquisitor himself in the series. And also, if you look at the way that Lucasfilm has been structuring teasers and trailers for Mandalorian Season 1, Mandalorian Season 2, Book of Boba Fett, even the Bad Batch, though that was a long trailer we got for the Bad Batch, they don't give away a lot. They really don't.
No.
So all of the big stuff, like if you're worried about watching this and being concerned about spoilers, you're not going to get anything substantial through it. And I have the spoilers, and I can tell you, other than confirming the existence of the Inquisitors in this, which is not a big surprise, there's nothing in here that's spoilery. So this is all just very much establishing stuff. So, but we did see the Grand Inquisitor, and I think it's the fifth brother. They're on Tatooine. We cut away to black. We cut away to a shot of Obi-Wan on some kind of a transport, and then we get a really quick cut to a meeting room, an Imperial meeting room. Stormtroopers at the doors, and Inquisitors sitting around a table. Outside the windows, it looks like maybe it might be underwater, so I'm assuming that this is on Nur. Kind of a cool looking meeting room there. I'm going to talk to the people at work and see if we can get something like that set up.
The bad guys in Star Wars have the best conference
They really
rooms.
do.
It's just
They do.
there's
They
no
really do.
comparison.
Yeah.
It's really sad and disappointing because I want these.
Yeah.
And tell me that's the room you want to be called into for your annual review, performance review at work. It's like, ooh, okay, I don't think I want to be here.
Their interior designers are
absolutely.
fantastic. They really know what they're doing.
So
They
if
really
that is an
know what they're doing.
Inquisitor on the left side of that table there, that's one that apparently is unnamed. That's not one we are familiar with. A shot of either someone hovering with the jetpack in a very well-controlled manner where they're not moving around very much, or it's a public hanging.
Yeah,
You
I think
think
it's
so?
the latter.
He's levitating
Right,
with the force.
there you go.
I'm thinking he was strung up days ago because nobody seems very concerned either. It's like he's
Yeah, I
part of
mean,
the
people are
landscape now.
looking, but nobody's really, interfering much. And then, of course, we've got the third sister, the Inquisitor, shot of Owen Lars. Then we cut away to a cityscape. Another shot of the ship, some Imperial officers, some more Inquisitors in downtown.
So this cityscape, by the way, so we're clearly off of
Seems that way.
Tatooine. We are not in a satellite of Mustafar either. This seems to be a completely different type of urban environment. I don't think it's Coruscant, but it's
It
something.
is
I don't know. Is it
something.
some?
It is something.
It is something.
That I will not reveal. It wouldn't necessarily be all that important if I did, but yeah, it is a different planet.
Okay.
Yeah. So as the teaser shows, not all of the series takes place on Tatooine. Now, quite a bit of it does, especially at first. But we are definitely leaving Tatooine. So
Don't look so excited,
I could
Eric.
not be happier. We get some kind of large droid that I don't think I've seen before. We do get a shot of, it looks like the Grand Inquisitor spinning one of those spinny lightsabers in front of someone. I really don't like the helicopter lightsabers that much. I don't know.
No,
Maybe
it seems
seeing it-
awkward. It seems awkward to
It
wield.
really does. Like, I would end up chopping every limb that I own off. I maybe seeing it live action will be different. I just don't really get it. Like, it looks cool, but feels like it would be very impractical. I don't know.
Yeah.
Another shot of the cityscape, and
I'm
I have
with
to
you
say, it does look a lot like Coruscant.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
neon.
And that's
really
another
does
shot
look-
of, I think, the fifth brother there. The Inquisitor pulling her lightsaber out on Tatooine, her meeting someone in a dark alley on the cityscape, Obi-Wan on a rooftop getting shot at, and then we're back to Obi-Wan on Tatooine. And that's basically the trailer.
Pretty much, yeah.
I like how they talk about basically the Jedi code as being an itch that has to be scratched. That, like, knowing, okay, these people are out there, whatever remnants there are of them, and they're gonna see something that they want to get into, and they're gonna use the Force, and when they do, that's when we know. That's how we're tracking them down. So I love that whole analogy that they
Yeah,
use with
I like
it.
the fact that they're
When
kind of
it's-
getting into the methodology of the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and to bring this back to Fallen Order again, because I love that game and it's a very good story. That whole story starts out with the main character working and completely incognito, and then one of his best friends gets in trouble, and he just instinctually uses the Force and reveals himself.
And that's what Kanan did too.
Yes.
And there was actually one of the better novels, I thought, was one where he and Hera meet. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. It was one of the early new canon novels.
Rebel Dawn.
No, it wasn't
or
Rebel
something
Dawn.
like
I think
that.
that
Yeah, it
was
was the first one, I think.
the prequel to
That was Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's like 8 years it's been out
That's
now.
weird.
That was like a 2014
Weird
book.
that it's been that long. So I learned another fact. This is when I was watching the new Rockstar's YouTube video on this. 14 Inquisitors so far.
Well,
And I thought, no, that can't
not
be right.
all of
And
them
then they
last
had a
that
list.
long.
There are 14 Inquisitors.
Yeah.
I really like them. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. I'm looking forward to see them in live action. I think it's I love the concept.
A New Dawn. Thank you,
of,
Fitmatic,
you know,
in
this-
the chat room. Yeah.
Yes,
There we
thank
are.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
I had
You
one
were
of the
close.
words right.
You can retain your trivia belt there. That's all right. I'm sorry, Tim.
Yeah, no, I've been fascinated by them since the first time. Since the first time that we saw them. So I think it's very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing
It
more
was
of them.
cool because it upped the stakes a little bit because you had a Force user other than Darth Vader. They didn't have to be a Sith Lord necessarily. And so that really made it a bigger threat. And, you know, we keep talking on this network over and over again about how heroes are only as interesting as the threats that they're up against. They're only as interesting as their villains are powerful. So now having a group of Force users sent as executioners, basically, that's a lot. To me, that's a lot more compelling than just having Darth Vader, because that's, I mean, you want to talk about racking up some travel points with Delta Airlines or something. I mean, Vader's got to be, dude, he can be selling points off left and right. So to me, that makes more sense than one individual going and cleaning up an entire galaxy. Of, you know, I couldn't hunt down a particular person in my local, you know, 30-minute radius of where I live very easily, and he's going to clean up an entire universe. That's just a lot of work. So this is a lot more interesting to me.
Well, I also wonder if they're going to play on the fact that, you know, hey, Vader has now caused the destruction of 2 Death Stars and is not in the good graces of,
he hasn't yet, just one.
Anybody else at this point. And right. But I mean,
true.
That's what we're getting towards. And that was covered in some of the comics, and, you know, how Vader is not really the favorite son anymore. It's like, oh, okay, so these guys are brought in to kind of clean up the mess.
Yeah, so to that point, though, shouldn't
I mean,
Palpatine have detected that Luke was there? I mean, is it really all on Vader? Shouldn't Palpatine have had his ducks in a row too? Just saying.
Well, Vader finds out in one of the comics who Luke is and sends Boba Fett after him. But the one of my favorite aspects of the Inquisitors has been the uniqueness of each of them. They all come from these different backgrounds. We don't know the backstory of all of them. Like the Grand Inquisitor was head of the Temple Guard at one point at the Jedi Temple.
He was there at the trial of Ahsoka, right?
Yes, somewhere. Yeah, he was masked, I think. But then you have her name escapes me, but the Inquisitor, the main Inquisitor in Fallen Orders, like another fallen Jedi, but they all have these odd backgrounds. And then there's sort of this entire ecosystem, like this killer ecosystem around them, where they have their own special shock troops, and it's really cool looking. The visuals are great. And it just makes sense, Eric, as an extension of what you said, where they've got to farm this out to somebody. Vader's got bigger and better things to do. Kenobi is perhaps the only Jedi that might get him up off the bench, but he's not going to go personally hunt down like Jocasta Nu or something like that. So, and you get spinny lightsabers.
So the overall. The premise for, we've talked before about how are they going to get Obi-Wan off of Tatooine, because you can't have the show just be him sweeping his front porch, and you can't have a big battle on Tatooine, right? So I'm going to, in as vague terms as I can, give the basic idea for what the point of the story is. And if people want to tune out now, that's okay. I promise you I'm going to keep it like as non-spoilery as I can. And this is all going to be like episode 1 stuff. And it will probably like be part of a summary somewhere. In fact, when they release another trailer closer to the show's release, I'm sure this is going to be what it describes. Okay. Are you guys okay?
I was going to say, is this where Tim,
you
Tom,
can
and
if
I
you
all duck
want.
out, or-
I would never intentionally do something to ruin this experience for anybody, especially not for you guys.
No,
I'm good.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
we're
sure
fine.
this isn't a big spoiler. It's. I mean, obviously, it is a pivotal, meaningful
If you're-
element, but I don't think it's a huge spoiler.
If you're telling us how it ends, then I'd be a
Anakin
little
dies.
concerned. But
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
eventually.
God.
Not until after Yoda
Vader
dies.
is Luke's father.
So it's okay.
Man.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yoda
I still
dies.
want to know. I still want to know what happened to Boba Fett after he fell in the pit.
Well,
What a cool character that guy was.
Yeah. I like leaving it a mystery.
okay. So someone needs Obi-Wan's help. And
Yeah.
is hunting Obi-Wan down and finds out where Obi-Wan is. And that individual happens to be also being tracked by the Inquisitors in hopes that, you know, hey, if we found one Jedi and this Jedi's looking for something, they're probably looking for other Jedi. So that's kind of how we get to Tatooine. How we get off of Tatooine is that someone who knows where Obi-Wan is contacts Obi-Wan and says, we desperately need your help with this one thing, or else I wouldn't be contacting you over this. Come help us. And he ends up doing that in part because of what had just happened with this other thing.
Is their message a little bit more akin to help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, your only hope?
It is not far away from that, in fact.
Okay.
I could
All right.
elaborate even more, but I won't.
Nope, that's okay.
Adequate.
That's okay.
I mean, and again, none
I'm
of
good.
that's really a surprising, shocking sort of thing. Like when you find out the person asking for help, you're, oh, well, obviously, you know, it's going to be one of those things. And it works. Like none of it is one of these far-fetched, we're really stretching to come up with an excuse to get him off planet. I was surprised.
It's not.
I actually kind of felt stupid. I was like, oh, well, obviously they could just do that. Like it makes sense. It's very organic how they handle, how they're going to have the series do something other than him cleaning sand out of stuff.
It's
It
not
is
Jar
not
Jar,
Jar Jar.
right?
I can say right now,
Thank God.
to my knowledge,
Damn it.
there's a list of people
your
who I
knowledge,
do
so that
not
you're
believe
saying there is a
appearing.
chance.
Jar Jar is one of them. I believe Palpatine is also one who I believe is not appearing. Yeah.
I cannot wait for like the last moment of the first episode of the series. You're just going to
Misa
hear
back.
Misa back.
Misa, need your help.
He said, Mooey, need your help. Yeah. Nope.
Oh,
May
God.
25th.
Don't think that's
folks.
happening.
May
I may not
25th
watch
is
it if
when
that
this,
happens.
Is when this premieres on Disney Plus. 6 episodes.
Only 6. Probably a half hour long each. And it's interesting. It's not called Kenobi like we thought it was. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi, according to the title card.
Yes.
Just being
Yeah.
more formal, you know, using his whole name.
Those of us who make like, you know, the really bad thumbnail cards for YouTube videos now have more to type. It's what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up tonight?
Eric, you asked us, like, if we were excited about this or what we thought about the teaser. And while you facilitated the discussion, we didn't really get your take.
Okay.
What is your take? We want to know your opinion,
So
Eric.
what I said,
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Oh, kiss my wife.
See you next
I
week.
didn't catch that. You broke up for a second. No, I'm with you guys. And what I said was not sarcasm. The fact that they're getting off of Tatooine and we're seeing the Inquisitors come back make me really excited for this. I think a couple of you mentioned seeing Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan. Like, how perfect is that? And so one thing we did not talk about because it wasn't a teaser, but it is official, and it has been part of Lucasfilm's official marketing for the series, is that Hayden Christensen is coming back as Vader/Anakin, and I'm excited for that too. And I know a little bit about how all that stuff works out, and I have to say, so this is one of those situations where I can enjoy the series when I watch it, or I can get the leaks for 6 to 8 months in advance and get an additional 6 to 8 months of excitement out of it, and then still watch the series and enjoy it. So I can say that what I have witnessed from the leaks makes me more excited for the series rather than less excited for the series. And everything I said 3 years ago when they announced this, and I was like kind of rolling my eyes, I'm on board with this. It's going to be good.
Okay.
I'll take that endorsement.
So let us know what you think about this series. Are you looking forward to it? Is there any particular aspect of it that you're looking forward to more than others? And keep the comments spoiler free if you post here on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast on your iPhone as you're driving or something like that, head over to YouTube later, hit the subscribe and like button, go to youtube.com/randomchatter, and throw your comments down below and let us know what you think. It's coming soon, just not soon enough. But that's going to do it for this episode of Force Chatter. If you are sitting here live in the chat room with us, stick around. In probably about 10 or 15 minutes, we will be back with an episode of Random Chatter. Otherwise, you can check out Media Chatter Monday nights now, 8:30 p.m. We are going to be covering The Adam Project, which is a brand new Netflix movie starring Ryan Reynolds and others. Just released Friday. We're going to be covering that for you Monday night. And otherwise, we will be back next week with more shows on Sunday night. So until then, take care.